Welcome to Real American Ghosts, the place where your nightmares become reality. Sit back and turn out the lights and listen to some real ghost encounters. And remember, don't look behind you.
It's hard enough for children who are adopted to sometimes feel as if they belong. But even with the best of families, sometimes there is a dark side that tries to take away whatever happiness exists. My name is Stella, and for the first 5 years of my life, I lived in foster homes around Charleston, South Carolina. My birth mother had given me up for adoption for reasons I do not know. And I do not know who she was. I had been lucky, I guess. I always lived with really nice people. Eventually, I was put with a family that ended up adopting me, and I remember feeling so excited to have a family. They showed me so much love, and I'm very grateful for that. But growing up in that house was not a pleasant experience. The house was very old, a two-story that had been built in the early 1800s. I remember when I moved into that house, there were really strange things that happened. Lisa, who was my adopted sister, and I shared a bedroom. And at night, I would hear her talking to someone, but I never saw anyone. Sometimes I would hear footsteps across the old wooden floor, but again, no one was there. One night I asked her who she was talking to, and she said the little black boy. Lisa was a year younger than me, so at this time she was about 5. I told her I never saw him, and she said, "He doesn't want you to see him." And then she said, "Would you like to see him?" And of course I said yes, not really believing her. She said, "Okay, he'll be around in a little while, and that we have to wait." I asked her where he comes from, and she said, "He lives in the wall." Somehow I fell asleep, but I woke up to Lisa talking, and I rolled over, and standing beside her bed was a little black boy. When I saw him, I became very afraid and pulled the covers over my head. I said, "Lisa, make him go away. I don't want to see him." Lisa said, "He's gone," and I pulled the covers down, and he was gone. She said he doesn't want you to be frightened of him, and of course I was scared to death. When I look back on it, Lisa, for her age, was a very brave little girl, and I guess that's why she is now a police officer, not in Charleston, but another city. Another time when I was probably 10, my mom and I was in the backyard, and I was helping her in the garden. I think we were picking tomatoes. I just happened to look up, and there was a man looking out the upstairs window, which would have been my parents' room. I knew right away what I was looking at. My mom said, "What are you doing?" And when I looked away to answer, I looked back, and he was gone. He had a uniform on, and at that time I didn't know what kind. But later I would realize it was a Confederate uniform. Another incident, and I'm sorry if I'm jumping around, there was just so many things happened there. But another incident actually happened to my dad, and by the way, both my parents knew the house was haunted. They didn't like it, but they couldn't afford to move. My dad was home alone one day, and in the back laundry room folding clothes, when he started to hear a woman humming. He walked out of the room into the hallway, and it sounded like it was coming from the kitchen. He knew no one was home, so he walked towards the kitchen, and then he heard sounds like dishes clinking together. But when he got to the kitchen, no one was there. As he turned to go back to the laundry room, he saw a woman walk into the bathroom through the closed door. One of the scariest events that happened to me in that house was in our room one night. At that time, I was probably 12 or so, and most girls at that age want their own room, but I didn't. I didn't want to be alone. Anyway, I was asleep when Lisa woke me up, and she said she saw something crawling on the floor by our door. She said it looked like a big spider, but was all black. If you lived in that house, you knew that when someone saw something, it was true. I told her to get in bed with me, and we both laid back against the wall watching the floor. And sure enough, I saw it. But it didn't look like a spider. It looked like a person with really long arms and legs, and was crawling towards us with its elbows out and legs out, and it had this creepy breathing sound. We lost it. We started screaming so loud for our parents, and they both came running into the room. Whatever that was, it was gone, and we told them what happened, and both of us ended up sleeping in their room. Like I said, there were so many things that happened in that house. I will have to send you more in the future. I was probably 15 when they sold that house, and 3 years later it burned down. In a way, I'm glad, because I wouldn't want any other children to go through what we did. Thanks for taking my story, and I will send you more. Stella. Most people are willing to help out others in times of need, especially when there are children involved. But what if the children are the danger, and it's not the children that need help, but maybe it's you? My name is Elizabeth, and I have a very frightening story to tell you. I live in Beaumont, Texas, and have all my life, only leaving for college. In 2014, I was living with my boyfriend, who is now my husband, in a 3-bedroom house with our German Shepherd, Bella. It's your basic middle-class neighborhood, and we both like living here, and still do. One night we were watching a movie we had rented called Ted with Mark Wahlberg. The only reason I remember the movie is because this whole incident is burned in my mind. It was around 10:30 at night when our doorbell rang. My husband got up to answer it, and when he opened the door, there was a boy about 12 or 13 years old at the door. Now, we know most of the kids in the neighborhood, and my husband did not recognize this boy. My husband asked if he could help the boy, but the boy just stood there and asked if he could come in. There was no emotion in his voice at all, like there would be if he was scared or in distress. It was very monotone sounding. Bella was in the back bedroom when all of a sudden she came flying down the hallway barking, with her teeth bared and growling. This is not her typical behavior. She is always a really laid-back dog, so this was out of character for her. I jumped up and grabbed her, and she was shaking. My husband turned back to the boy and asked if he was in some kind of trouble, but the boy again just asked if he could come in. Now, it's dark in our front yard. The street light is down a ways, so it doesn't light up the yard much. We really couldn't see the boy too clearly, so my husband turned the porch light on. It was the strangest sight. The boy had black eyes, and I don't mean pupils. I mean all of his eye was black. Bella was going crazy, and I got this weird feeling, and I told my husband, "Don't let him come in." And when I said that, the boy looked at me and just glared at me. My husband told the boy we could call for help, but that he couldn't come in. The boy said again, only this time a little more forcefully, "Let me come in." My husband told him he was sorry, but to go away, and he shut the door. Now, with the porch light on, you can see if someone walks off the porch, but he didn't. My husband jerked the door open again to tell the kid to go away, or he was going to call the police, but he was gone. Like I said, where I was standing, I would have seen him leave the porch, either left or right, but he just vanished. And immediately, Bella calmed down. I don't know what that was that night, but Bella didn't like that boy, and neither did we.